Is good.
Oh, we're live.
We are live.
Oh,
Here we go.
how about that?
All right. Welcome to a episode of the Horse Racing Happy
How about
Hour.
that?
A Zackless episode of the Horse
There you go.
Racing Happy Hour,
Extra
which means
clink.
I've got to actually work today.
You have to do things. Yes.
I've got to do stuff. I've got to push buttons, and I've got to be ready to go.
Oh,
We've got a pretty amazing show. So we're actually starting a little early because of it. Man, we got a ton of racing. Like the racing at Belmont was so good over the weekend.
it was good.
That we're not even going to show a replay where Clary Hare won.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Great
like,
point. That's a great point by you.
It
yeah.
was like when you think about how awesome those couple days of racing, and I'm so glad that they canceled races on Thursday because of the smoke, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
luckily, things
Yeah.
like,
Delaware had to cancel multiple days last week. Oh yeah, it was a whole thing. It got all the way down to Philly essentially. That's wild.
so they cleared it up, and we got two. Really, Friday was beautiful. It seemed like there, and yeah.
Well, what do you think about them moving the Acorn to Friday, trying to create the 2-day thing like we get, at Pimlico with Black Eyed Susan or with Oaks at
Sure.
at Churchill Downs? You like that?
I do like it. I mean, I think you have enough.
I don't think it took away from that card at all on Belmont Day.
No,
It was still
the
spectacular.
The card was fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Let's actually like you've mentioned the Acorn. Like, let's
Sure.
get into it. Let's go ahead and take a look, because what we saw, you mentioned it on the phone with me. Especially me, besmirched those fillies a little bit, and Pretty Mishvis stepped up here in a big way.
Comes Exceed and randomized as the
Money's Gold,
three-year-old
though, man,
fillies
big favorite
continue
here,
along with Money's Gold in front, ran 3/4 in 1:10 and 4, and now they're at the quarter pole. It is Money's Gold with the lead. Darth Vader has moved to the outside. Pretty Mischievous is in third as the field comes through the stretch, and Pretty Mischievous is kicking in now on the outside. Pretty Mischievous is taking the lead. Darth Vader up into second. Money's Gold is back in third, and then Occult. They're coming down for the finish. It is Pretty Mischievous trying to hold off Darth Vader. They come on for the finish. Pretty Mischievous.
There it was. Pretty Mischievous taking the grade 1.
I had to
Acorn.
laugh because Johnny I's back on the calls at Belmont, which is great, right? So I actually did the same thing on Saturday. I made sure to watch the track feed rather than the Fox coverage, and he can't just say Occult, the name of the horse. He called it like an Irish horse, like Occult.
Uh-huh.
I just like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like Danny Occult.
Daniel Colt.
This is my buddy. This is my cousin Paulie Occult.
Daniel Colt. You witchcraft? No. Just
That
my
was just
name.
great.
Just my
But
name.
no, she kicked it back in. Great show from Darth Vader, by the way.
Yeah. Darth
She
Vader
might
winning.
have something to say in the CCA Oaks, or maybe in the Alabama. A longer course may really play to her strengths. In a Darth Vader, we're going to see Money's Gold probably stay at one turn after that race.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Mile and 16th was just too much there.
were you surprised? I mean, I guess they had to take their
No.
shot with that.
Well, they have to. It's one turn, right? You really hope that that's going to work out. But the other part of that is, they extended that race by a 16th of a mile this year
Right.
for the first time ever. They went from a mile to a mile and 16th, and I think it was so that a horse like Money's Gold won't win.
So they can stick
To
in that
set up from the mile and an eighth in Kentucky to a mile 16th, and then back when you get to Saratoga, mile and an eighth, mile and a quarter when you get into the later
And I think
races.
the theme about the replays we're going to show today, especially the 3 replays, are the horses that have basically started to separate themselves in the Eclipse Award voting, which is, we got a long way to go before that happens. But
Yep.
Pretty Mischievous is now, taking control of that 3-year-old filly world, and just, great race. I mean,
It was a great race.
sitting 6th, and that the last 2 horses were way back in that first pack. There were 6 horses. She just sat right where she needed to be. Tyler did a masterful job, and when it was time to make her move, she made it. And you know what? I think a lot of people probably saw Money's Gold up there up front and thought, hey, we're going to see a wire to wire. And
We're also seeing, and we've seen it for years here at Churchill Downs locally, but Tyler, I think, is starting to get that national recognition for the rider that he is, right? Because that's, go to New York and you win that race in that style where you time it just the right, just right at a place like Belmont where you don't ride that often, stands out for sure.
Money's Gold, though, I mean, that opening quarter, for example, in 23 and 3, you would have thought that Money's Gold, that's not slow, but it's not like super fast.
It's
either.
not 22 and 3. That's
right.
Yep.
So you would have thought that maybe there was a chance there that Money's Gold had a little bit of a shot to stay up there. So impressive race. Pretty mischievous getting it done. So
no question.
Love it, man. Yeah.
Well, we had another great show.
Yeah.
From another great. I guess she's still she's a mayor now. In the Japer with our girl Caravel, and part of one of my singles along with Cody's Wish on Saturday. They both came home. Cody's Wish in a more difficult manner, but he had a lot more time to make up the difference. And Caravel did Caravel things.
6 furlong race, right?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So she was able to do
let's take a look real quick at as I try to get all the buttons pushed. Caravel's run in the Japer.
Force red, and here she comes now. Caravel is up now to grab the lead, and Casa Creed is now kicking in. It's Caravel in front. Casa Creed surging on the outside. Late run here from Big Invasion. It is Caravel trying to beat the boys again. Far outside Big Invasion. Caravel has done it.
Caravel holds on, beats the boys again.
Who's in the mount there?
The mount for Caravel, of course. Tyler
Gaffalione. Another well-timed race.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, man. He was on it. And
he was.
And
with all of the eyes of the sport and with everyone there, I mean, I don't have to sing Tyler's praises. People that watch the show or listen to this show know exactly who Tyler Gaffalione is. But to do repeatedly on this kind of stage for him, I think was a good show this weekend.
Yeah.
Look at this bum U.S. Open out in L.A.
You hate golf, don't you?
Bums. Look at this.
You hate golf.
It's just manicured. Look at it.
Yeah, so far the U.S. Open low scores is not holding up the way that they normally would think with Ricky Fowler. And
how bougie do you imagine the LA Country Club is?
I mean, was OJ a member? Probably, right?
Then very bougie.
Yeah.
I
mean, I have no idea, honestly, how bougie the LA Country Club would be. Is that probably pretty close to where UCLA is? I really have no.
Great.
Idea.
Now I got to look it up. All
yeah.
Right.
I mean, I would assume it's in that area. Have you ever been to UCLA?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty bougie over there.
UCLA, bougie and nice. USC, bougie, but not nice in the neighborhood.
Not nice in the neighborhood of USC at all. All right. We're going to go to now. I almost want to show this whole race with Cody's Wish because.
Sure. Go ahead. It's only a minute.
I think it's worth it because could Cody's Wish have gotten a worse trip?
Yeah. He could have fallen down.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it would have taken. His coming out of the gate, he was awful.
He could have fallen down.
I mean, so let's go ahead and let's just take a look at this race. And I actually bet against Cody's Wish here because I thought he might have been a little bit vulnerable. And he just made me look like a fool. I mean, basically said there's not.
So there's UCLA, there's the Country Club, and there's Beverly Hills.
Okay, so
they're doing fine.
All right,
they're okay.
And how about me nailing that location?
You did nail it.
Yeah. All right. All right. So let's take a look real quick for the Grade 1 Met Mile here and Cody's Wish. All right, let me pull it up. Good radio here and hit play. All right,
pull it up. That's what she said.
Oh, didn't hit play. There we go.
And they're off.
Johnny I.
In the Hillendale Metropolitan Handicap, Cody's Wish from the inside post was off a step slow. It is Slow Down Andy and White Abario on the outside, and between those two, it is Hoist the Gold. So it's three of them across. Repo Rocks sits just behind them in fourth. Then it's Charge It next in fifth. On the outside is Zandon. And then we come back to a Doppelganger. On the inside is Cody's Wish. The opening quarter went in 22 and 3/5 seconds. So it is Dr. Shivel who's in between horses. Slow Down Andy on the inside and Hoist the Gold on the outside. The three of them across the track for the lead. White Abario runs in fourth. Charge It is on the move on the outside in the fifth. Then comes Repo Rocks, followed next by Zandon. Then the favorite, Cody's Wish. Doppelganger is at the back. Opening half mile in 45 and 4/5 seconds. Long shot, Hoist the Gold. Challenged on the inside by Slow Down Andy.
So far back.
Dr. Shivel has dropped back.
Here he comes on the outside.
Now advanced into third. Cody's Wish is making a big move on the extreme outside. Cody's Wish is picking off horses as they come for the top of the stretch in the Met Mile. Here comes Cody's Wish on the outside. Now to grab the lead. Slow Down Andy down towards the rail. It is Cody's Wish in front. Cody's Wish is drawing away. Cody's Wish putting in a huge effort here. Then it's Zandon and White Abario. But it's Cody's Wish. And this beautiful racing story continues with this terrific racehorse. He has now won 6 in a row.
6 in a row for Cody's Wish.
Cody's Wish.
And I told you, I think going into this, that I was really interested to see kind of what happened with Zandon. And
who was my second place pick?
Whitebario.
And who came second, third?
Yeah, I mean,
Zandon Whitebario neck and neck for second.
But I thought, if you're going to take anything, Cody Wish is an absolute beast.
He's a monster.
Probably the best horse in training right now in North America.
Probably.
I guess we would say that he's even pulling apart in that horse of the year race, right? So
he's putting himself dead in the middle of it. Yep.
And
frankly, he's forcing people because of that run to think about him for the Classic.
Oh yeah,
right. Because if he can go like that, and he's still going at a mile. That guy, he could definitely do the 2 turns and to get the distance, I think. So
all right,
let's just do it, man.
Well, listen, we're gonna bring on a special guest right now before we do the replay of the Belmont. And by the way, thanks to Naira and then Fox here pretty soon as we go through all these race replays. I think it'd only be fitting if we just brought on Jenna Antonucci with us real quick to talk a little bit about the Belmont Stakes. Jenna, how's it going? Can you hear us? I see her there. And she's staring at us. She might have frozen. All right, I'm going to take Jenna out for just a second until she gets back going.
Are we sure that anyone can hear us?
I'm pretty sure that people can hear us. Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we are live. Jenna is actually here at the show, and she's frozen.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and look at this replay of the Belmont Stakes.
Well, let's wait. Come on, let's let her watch it.
You want to, huh?
We'll let her watch it.
All right, well, we can do that. All right.
Okay.
Anything else that you want to add about Cody's Wish while we're waiting to see if Jenna can
it's just, I mean, it's very rare in any sport that you get a story that positive that keeps giving as much as that one.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, just those aren't supposed to happen. And so it's nice that it's happening in our sport. So
yeah, I mean, the Make-A-Wish Foundation there's I think Jenna got off for a second. She's going to pop back on. But yeah, you're right. Those kind of stories we live for, and it will be kind of cool to kind of see what the next step for Cody's Wish is, and do they start to stretch him out a little bit and look for that opportunity maybe to work your way into the Classic. It would be awesome to see. So
yeah. Well, and we have to remember too, he wins the mile in the Breeders' Cup last year at Keeneland. He had to go 2 turns to do it, right? And that was probably the fullest, best field of that day was in the mile that day. So hopefully.
Oh, we got her. Jenna, are you on now? Yes.
I
Jenna,
think
how's
so.
it going? All right. Yes, we hear you. That's fantastic. Listen, a little technical difficulties on a Thursday night. There's nothing wrong with that. So
we're probably past Jenna's bedtime anyway.
It is pouring here, so
okay.
I'm about my connection here. So I may.
We might have to turn your video off because you did get a little choppy there. So
how did I not know the weather was that bad?
I had no idea. And she's frozen again.
Oh no.
All right, Jenna, if you can hear us, we're gonna. There you are.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
All right. She's giving us the thumbs up.
We
might be live. Okay. All right. Good.
All right.
Because listen, I mean, you're the star of the show here. I mean, this is like big deal.
I agree that no one cares about you. I'm with you.
No one definitely cares about this Italian.
Yeah.
I am not the Italian people want to hear from. Which, of course, when we did our Belmont preview show last week, we always kind of joke on the Italian pick is the horse that I'm going to like. So, because you got the Don Alberto stables and all that kind of stuff going on with it. Like you have, it just felt full on. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, full sense.
Yeah, I love it. Do you know where in Italy your family's from?
Yes. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
These are the questions. She's like, okay, horse racing show, get into this. Where's your family from in Italy? There we go. Yeah.
Yes.
So my handicapping strategy is to bet on Italian horses and Star Wars themed horses.
There it is.
So that was it. So
all right. Well, hey, you do you. Whatever works.
It worked 8 to 1 on Saturday. So
yeah,
there you go.
yeah,
right.
You're welcome.
All right. So we have a lot of college basketball in our area on top of a lot of horse racing, of course, Jenna. Did you have a Jim Valvano moment the other day? Have you seen Jimmy V running around the court trying to find someone to hug? I feel like you put your head down to celebrate and have a moment of by yourself, and everyone else in your box is hugging. And you look back and they're already busy.
No, it was literally, I was probably needed that space to just clearly the reaction was a little over the top that I now recognize and acknowledge, but
now that it's gone viral.
Yeah, that. Apparently, I think I just needed a minute anyways to regain oxygen in my lungs. So we're good. All was good.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Louis, but Italians are traditionally non-emotional.
Completely
Yeah,
unemotional.
yeah.
Don't use their hands to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of those
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely
About that.
control yourself a lot better than I did. And you know, and I know that you embrace it, but just like, man, how awesome it is to be the first woman to win a Triple Crown race. And what did that mean to you? And did you, I mean, I think you go into the race, you just want to win the race, but afterwards, is it just like, does it hit you and just like, man, I just broke a glass ceiling?
I'm pretty sure they beeped my reaction when I said we won the Belmont Stakes. So that was the cleanest Italian version I could give in that moment. So yeah, I mean, listen, I know a lot of people have talked about the gender aspect of it, and I don't ignore that. And I am so grateful for what that means for other people and whatnot. I don't lead my life with, I'm a woman, so give me this opportunity, or I didn't get that opportunity because I'm a woman. I'm a, bust your butt and do the work kind of person. So, it's been a bit of a balance, honestly, in my head of just navigating that and what that means to everybody else. And I'm grateful that they share that with me and that it inspires them to work harder or to chase dreams and goals. And I don't take that for granted.
All right. Did you want to go into, I mean, I think we want to get into the Arcangelo stuff a little bit.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, Whiteley race, right? But you did run this horse as a 2-year-old. Did you know early on that you had something special with Arcangelo?
His breezes were always really, they're like, well, that was interesting. And well, that was interesting. And, we were just trying to idle him for so long to let him grow up and mature that, we never really asked. And then you start asking, and you're like, well, that's even more interesting. And so more than anything, we just wanted him to continue to mature mentally and be more as ready as he could for, what he could potentially have ahead of him. But listen, you really learn what you have in the afternoon. And so we've all seen those amazing, brilliant horses in the morning that just look like they're the next coming of, and they show up in the afternoon and they need to be, still running. So we wanted to make sure that that wasn't the case and stay quiet and let him bring himself to the foreground.
There's a quote on your website from you. The answer is already within each horse. It's up to us to listen. If someone's listening to this show and all they do is watch horse racing and they bet it, what does that mean? What does that mean to someone like Jen Antonucci?
I mean, I hope there's not many people like me out there. Whew, that's a big world. It's a loud world. There's a ton of opinions. The internet obviously is never shy of one. And so I think we need to sometimes calm down and quiet down and just lean into the horse and listen a little bit more. And so for me, it's just slowing down and listening to these horses a tick more and listen, we aren't going to have Arcangelos. We all have a ton of claiming level horses, and let's get the best out of each horse that we have. And I think slowing down and listening to them and letting them tell their story allows that to happen.
I mean, it kind of goes in, and I wasn't going to talk about this just yet, but you have this whole horseology movement. I think it's fair to almost even call it, and how you believe in transparency and how you, I mean, tell people about what horseology is for you guys and how you all implement it. And I mean, because it's super cool concept.
Horseology is a service-based business, providing our clients, our owners, from conception to retirement. So this industry is notoriously very fractured, right? Bob has his horses over here for breeding, and Bob sends his horses over there for sales prep, and Bob sends his horses there to retire. So our intention was, Katie and I have such a wide berth of knowledge and experience to put all of these services in one house where clients can have one point of contact to deal with all these phases that horses go through. And so that's what horseology came from. And, we're having a lot of fun doing it, and it's working.
And then, but you all specifically mentioned the transparency part on that horseology piece of yours. What does that transparency look like for you in the world of horse racing?
It's just an open door policy. There's not smoke and mirrors or a good time to come, or it's not convenient now. And, I'll call you with an update. Don't call me. We've all heard it and seen it. And I didn't like how it made me feel to hear it for an owner that is paying the bills. He's literally putting food on your table. If he wants to ask you a question, he can pick up that phone, or she can pick up that phone, and they are entitled to those answers. And so just really leaning forward with Horse Forward, transparency, integrity, and having people in on it. And we have some clients that want an update once a month, and that's fine. That's what works for them. And we have others that, want to have a 45-minute conversation often. So, you know, you make it work.
You gotta make those clients happy, right? So
Yeah.
All right. So when you go into a horse like the Belmont Stakes, you've got a little buzz. You won the Peter Pan. There's lots of precedents. The last two horses to win the Peter Pan and win the Belmont turned out to be pretty good sires, by the way. Tonalist and AP Indy. What's that?
Little side note. Yeah.
I mean, not bad. Doesn't hurt the horseology side of the breeding shed if you'll ever decide to go with that route. So
tell Bob to send him off to the breeding shed eventually.
What were going into the race? Like, what were the different race scenarios that you were prepared for this horse?
I think I think everyone can understand and agree the horse is pretty dynamic. If you pull out the maiden with the number that he ran there, the sheet number that everyone was convinced was a typo. And then you come back at the Peter Pan and, overcame, a relatively pedestrian pace for that kind of group of horses. And then for those two to draw off like they did was, okay, well, that's new. That's interesting. And then to come back in this spot. So I think, we've learned about him, the diversity of him. And with that, the biggest thing that I conveyed to Javier was just, I need you to feel this race. Listen, I've had plenty of horses that if I didn't have a pace to run into, I was dead in the water. And so I absolutely get what that means for a jockey, where it takes that pressure kind of off, where they don't have to completely stress what's happening on the front end. Just give them a good trip, let them build. We expected we would be tipping out and around. My freak out moment on film was when the pearly gates opened on the rail and we were able to cut the corner, because that hardly ever happens in a normal race scenario, never mind the 155th version of the Belmont Stakes. So that's when the freak out kind of happened. And we wanted to get a jump on the field. Again, not hidden. This horse has a very sustained run, which is a wonderful piece to have in a nice horse that he doesn't need to have a quarter of a mile, or you don't have to time that 3/16 to just get that perfect punch to the wire. He's going to give you that big run. And our feeling was if we could get a little jump on the field, they'd have to come and run us down, and Javier was going to make sure they had to run around them to do it.
I love it. So let's actually pick up the race right here from where that rail kind of opens up.
And Johnny did the right things here, right? So Johnny's supposed to fade these two wide. He didn't know who was behind him. He knew someone was behind him, but Johnny rode a really good race. He had a hard time getting that horse to settle a little bit, but I don't think there was a tactical error there, in my opinion. Not because we benefited, but just in being an observer of the race.
Absolutely. Okay, so and feel free to talk over this replay, by the way, because that would be fantastic.
So
give us the live commentator here.
I put my mic down and let Janet talk. How about that?
Play the video over it, and it would be perfect.
Forte has dropped 6 lengths off the lead.
But yeah, I mean, right here is where I was screaming, go, go, because I wanted him to hold that spot. And then we held the spot there. And, it was just like, holy crap, we're there. And then we wanted to kind of start running from the 3 going. And we did. And I think, National Treasure was a little bit gassed. He had done all the heavy lifting. I love Tapit Trice. Forte, obviously, with the deep close, that's become really his style, that deeper close. But with Tapit Trice, watching that horse train, I love how he goes, but I feel like he's a little inefficient, where he spends a lot of time in the air with his legs. And so, again, that was kind of part of
there she is.
Really the freak out. That was, some of the strategy.
We'll let this go.
Yeah. Some of the strategy of going early was, we're pretty efficient in the way we move. And if we could, boogie a little early, it would be pretty hard for them to come and run us down.
So, I mean, this is not just a cool story for you, of course, but I mean, for Javier Castellano, a guy who grew up near the track, I mean, it's kind of stunning when you think about the great jockeys in the sport that we love that haven't gotten either a Derby win or a Belmont win to get both in the same year. Good gosh. Two different horses is really remarkable. I mean, how lucky, I mean, what good, I shouldn't say lucky, but what a good relationship you obviously have with Javi in this case.
Yeah. And it was, again, from, when we talked about the day before, I wasn't going to have a, deep conversation with him in the paddock about, hey, this is how you need to go ride your Belmont horse. I mean, that's dumb. So, it was just I just literally the last thing I said to him when I legged him up is just go feel this race. Good luck. Go feel the race and let it happen. And, so blessed it turned out, to work out for us.
All right, Jenna, you are the first person in a new segment that we're starting called Horse Racing 101. So we want our audience to get a behind the scenes look at what it's like to be involved in the horse industry, since Mike and I essentially show up at like 11 o'clock, do 2 hours of work, and then smoke cigars the rest of the day. So
good for you.
What does your day look like as a trainer, so that if someone thought, oh man, I want to be a horse trainer, what are they getting into?
Don't like sleep. Love that you're going to have a problem every day to resolve.
Okay.
Really enjoy logistics of who needs to be where, what, and by what time. That's without even shipping your barn somewhere. Client relations, business growth, knowing how to run a business, payroll, workman's comp, visa programs. I'm trying to make sure I got all the good parts of it all, and then try and win races. And then if you don't win enough, everyone telling you that you're terrible. So it's wonderful. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend.
Oh man,
I have to ask. And
I'm not sure that's the answer you were looking for, but
it's exactly. People need to know that
you have a team that you have talked about a lot. Fiona Goodwin is obviously a big part of your team. Who is this gentleman here who's walking
that's
with
Giovanni? Yeah.
What's his name? Giovanni?
Giovanni. He's not Italian. He's Mexican.
Giovanni. Okay.
Relax. Giovanni.
Well, that's my son's middle name.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Rocco Giovanni Gandolfo.
Yeah. There's no meatballs with Giovanni. He's a black beans and rice kind of guy. So
all right.
That's Giovanni Flores. He's actually been with me for about 10 years. His mother was my forewoman when I was in New York full time. And so when he started with me, he was actually a hot walker and learned it, all the way through, and is one of the best grooms that we have, one of the kindest souls that you would meet.
Well, so often we hear, just let the groom walk the horse into the winner's circle, and you obviously let him have that moment with the horse and everything, which is the best.
There was that wasn't even a question.
Cool.
And John wouldn't have had it that way either. It's just, we are a team, we're a unit, and it is every single person that you've mentioned and more that is part of this journey, and I wouldn't take that away from anybody.
What's next for Arcangelo?
He goes to Saratoga in a couple days. We'll get the whole stable. That the group that's traveling this summer will all meet up there over the weekend. We'll put him back under tack at the beginning of next week and start figuring out where we're going to go next. And no, I'm not going to tell you because we don't know yet.
Travers.
That's cool.
Wow, that's a really bad sinus issue you guys have going on.
Oh, the allergies in Louisville. Oh,
terrible.
Yeah.
It's bad. Yeah.
We're all verklempt over it, I see.
It is bad. Yeah.
Very verklempt, yes.
So, yeah.
Well, we'll be definitely be cheering you on and watching to see what happens next. So,
I appreciate
Jenna, where should people come find you and all those things so that they don't bother you don't bother you like we did? Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we'll be around all summer. I'll be in and out at Saratoga and the sales and stuff, but all my social stuff is pretty, having a unique name makes your social stuff pretty easy to find you.
There it is. All right. Jenna, thanks a lot for coming on.
Nice to meet you.
You are literally the first trainer we've had on the show, I think. Is that true? And the reason why is because most trainers don't have a bunch of personality.
Well, we interviewed Asmussen at the Preakness.
Well, that's true.
For 20 seconds. And then we've had Pletcher on this show. But
that was a
previous iteration of the
show.
Yeah. But like right after the Belmont, no.
But this is because again, like a lot of trainers don't have the personality on air, and so I appreciate you coming.
Well, or the last name that you identify with. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, all right, Paisano.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Jenna.
See you.
All right, that was Jenna Antonucci. That was fantastic. So, and we'll see if he goes on to Travers.
Haskell.
You think Haskell's more likely?
Dude, if this anticipatory field is King's Barn and a bunch of dudes, give me a little arcade.
Then Have Yar won't have a decision to make.
No,
that's right. Because you might.
Easy, yes.
All right, we're going to talk about Monmouth Park.
Yes, we are.
A little bit about the Haskell, and we're going to bring on our next guest, and I'll let Louis introduce.
Yeah, Brian Skirka joins us now from Monmouth. There he is. Hey, Brian, first time on the show. Glad to have him. Very unusual, Mike, because usually when I send an email to the marketing team at a track and say, hey, is there anyone available? I usually don't hear back from tracks east and north of us. And so it's very nice in a place where we actually have a lot of followers in New Jersey. I'm always stunned at how many people.
There's a lot of Italians in New Jersey.
Is that what it is?
That's exactly what.
Oh, it's a pasta thing. Got it. All right. Well, there you go. Well, Brian joins us from Monmouth Park. Brian, how are you, man?
I'm great, guys. How are you? Thanks for
having me. How does it feel to follow Jenna Antonucci?
It doesn't feel great. From a, can't stand up to that.
What have you done for me lately? Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I wrote a great ad today about a car show, and she just won the Belmont Stakes. So it's a little apples to oranges, but you gotta fill in wherever you can. But I tuned in. I logged on a little early to make sure that I could hear her, because she's obviously a great speaker, and now people are able to hear her after she's had her great success. So a great interview, a great guest you guys had, and I'm just happy to be the one coming up after.
Yeah, Brian, we appreciate you. So we did a bunch of shows with our friends in Maryland. By the way, I do want to thank our friends in Maryland for sponsoring our Horse Racing 101 segment with Jenna just now. No better time to breed and race in Maryland than there is right now. Tons of incentives. We'll talk about another Mid-Atlantic spot here, though, with New Jersey. And Brian, something they do really wrong in Maryland is they try to name all their stakes days something very stupid. And so it really bothers me. And they also have bad card construction, and the last race is terrible. You don't have any of that at Monmouth Park. It's beautiful. The beach is nearby. You close things with $60,000 allowance races. I just wanted to congratulate you on not having ridiculous nicknames and actually carding your things properly.
Thank you. At least some days. We had a big handicapping contest 2 Saturdays ago, and the same couldn't be true. We were a little lackluster in the last race of the day, but for Saturday, for Haskell Preview Day, we did a great job. The card looks really good.
So Saturday's a preview for the Haskell. Do you know what they call it, Mike?
The Pegasus.
Haskell Preview Day.
Oh, Haskell Preview Day. Okay. Well, the Pegasus.
I mean, imagine
right
that kind of just working knowledge and logic in horse racing.
Hey, I work in marketing, baby.
If you call it just like a Chinese restaurants, you know how they name their dishes, right? Like exactly what you're
getting. What you're getting.
You know exactly what you're getting.
Wait, the quarter pounders, how
now,
heavy?
Even though Arcangelo is skipping, Haskell Preview Day.
Yeah, I mean,
he still could be.
I mean,
could get
it's
in the
been
race
7 days. Run your horseback.
You'll be all right if
he only ran an hour. He only ran a mile and a half. What are we doing?
Yeah, we'll cut him some slack for coming back on a week's rest. But Haskell, original Haskell, will hopefully we'll see him then.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be amazing.
So let's get into it. You all good? Ready to go?
Ready to go. We're going to talk with him about the 4 stakes races that are on the card this weekend. All of them are win and end races for a month from now. The Pegasus Stakes, which will open with top 2 finishers, get a spot in the Haskell.
All right, and that Pegasus is a mile on the 16th on the dirt, $150,000, and of course this is for 3-year-olds only, because the Haskell's only for 3-year-olds. So we got a pretty good field here, including Kings Barnes. Is Kings Barnes the horse to beat, Louis, or is someone going to take him down?
I think this is an interesting field, actually, and I think because of that, I love the incentive of 2 spots.
Yep,
I think that's a really interesting incentive, because in this race, Brian, I don't know if you agree, but this is an interesting mix of horses who have already shown their mettle, like Kings Barnes, and some later bloomers, right? And that's really what the Haskell can be, is a chance for someone to win a high level Derby at $1 million. That might be blooming a little later. And a recent bloomer is Salute the Stars.
Okay,
it's the 4 horse here. Won right off the bench last out for Brad Cox. Immediately brought him back at 9 furlongs, which I think is interesting. He's going to run that back here, just a little bit shorter here, but. I do think that's the move to Joel Rosario. Shows how much they want to finish in the top 2 here. They are really aiming for the Haskell with this horse. I do think that Kings Barnes is absolutely the class of the race. If you look for another one, How Great Is Nate is a local here. Seems to love the course here. Ran a really good mile 70 last time in the Long Branch. It's a black type there at Monmouth. So I landed on those 3 if you wanted to use them with the 4, 8, and 7 in this one. Brian, where'd you land here?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting spot. And just as a programming note, this race 10 does start an all stakes pick 4. So something else that I like what we do on this day is, we have our normal pick 4. Obviously, that's the last 4 races on the day, but we added a pick 4 special here. So all 4 stakes, races 10, 11, 12, 13 is an all stakes pick 4. I agree with you in philosophy. Kings Barnes is definitely the name horse here. He obviously came out of the Derby. He was a Louisiana Derby winner and was undefeated going into the Derby. Got caught up in that crazy pace duel and just had no chance. In this race, I'm going to take a small shot against him. He's on there. I'm not losing any wager when he wins the race. He's on every ticket. But I guess the story is he was originally planning to run in the Belmont last week. missed a workout because he had a minor bout of colic, so they didn't run him in the Belmont, obviously with some missed time. So, he obviously has recouped from that and is well to run in this race, but maybe now is the time to take a shot against him, just coming off of that missed work and being a little bit sick. Easier said than done, trying to find the horse that is going to beat him. If you're going against Kingsbarns, a lot of them kind of have been running similar numbers. My original I thought I was a wise guy before I saw the morning line, and I don't feel as wise anymore. I was looking at Classic Catch, the other Todd Pletcher.
Sure, the one.
He comes out of the Peter Pan that Arcangelo won. He was beaten 10 plus lengths in there, which obviously is a distance. But I did like that he showed a little bit more speed with blinkers on. This is his second race with blinkers on. Before he wore the blinkers, he came from the clouds. He was basically last in every race and kind of closed/plotted, at the end. I like that the blinkers added some speed into him last time, even though he wasn't around anywhere at the end against a tougher field. He draws post 1 and Paco Lopez. I have confidence that he's going to be in a perfect spot, Classic Catch. I'm not as confident that he's good enough. I was hoping that maybe he would be a semi-decent price. He's a 3-1 second choice on the morning line, which I didn't see coming. So if you told me that he was going to be, double that, 6-1,
sure.
I would take a shot. 3-1, I'm not loving that, but I do think whether it's the horses you mentioned, the 1 Classic Catch, or even the 2 Moreau, who look pretty good, breaking his mane at Churchill, I do think this might be the chance to take a shot against Kingsbarns, just coming off of that mini bout of colic.
I don't have odds, so I'm jealous of you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's all right though.
Something called Equibase exists.
I understand.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
I'm just going off what I got. So.
Equibase.
Sure.
All
right. Well, we're gonna move on to. We like to have a little fun here, Brian. I hope that's all right.
A little.
I'm all about it.
Fun of us.
Yeah,
right.
Whatever you want to do. So
the dad shirts. It's very dad shirt tonight.
Listen, I'm not only going with dad shirt. I got on blue jeans and sandals. Okay, no socks. Didn't go that far, but
I was going to say this is the first podcast I've ever done wearing gym shorts. Most of them are, in the office.
Don't tell me about your pants. I don't see.
He just talked about his socks.
I'm not happy about Mike
socks.
either, but I have to deal with him next week. Not you,
right? Lack of socks is worse than gym shorts. I mean, come on.
I agree with Brian.
Okay, I'll take all the besmirchment. All the besmirchment.
It's not needless either.
It's all right. All right, race 11, Monmouth Park. It is, and also it's Father's Day weekend. So, are you a dad, Brian?
I am not.
All
no,
right.
sir.
Well, you can wish us a happy Father's Day.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
Yeah, he doesn't have to spend Sunday pretending he likes his gifts.
Hey, my kids aren't even in town. They
what
just
a day.
left.
What
I'm
a
here
day.
by myself. So
that's even better.
Definitely happy Father's Day.
I'm jealous.
Great. Look what I colored you, Daddy.
Yeah, honey, this is great.
Grade 3 Eatontown is race 11. It is on the turf, mile and a 16th for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Grade 3 here, $150,000 purse. This is all the final races are grade 3s, which is awesome.
Yep.
Brian can go first here. Brian, who'd you like?
Great.
Yeah, to me, this is the best of the 4 stakes races in terms of competitiveness. There are a lot of horses that can win this race. I'm on the 1, surprisingly. I think this is pretty good, and I'll foreshadow a future pick. I think
What's
2
the horse's
horses.
Name?
Surprisingly, is the horse.
Oh no! Okay, all right. No, it was the dad joke. It was bad.
I got you. Happy Father's Day again, by the way. Enjoy.
I mean, what's so surprising you about you liking the 1 horse? Just tell me what's surprising about it.
I think this is a.
Don't call me Shirley.
The surprising part is that there's 2 Chad Brown horses in here, and I'm picking against them. That's
that's not a good idea.
Yep.
But Shug has 2 horses in this pick 4 sequence. We'll get to the other one later that I feel like are vintage Shug. Kind of as they get older, they get better. We're just kind of so average in their earlier years, and now they're getting better with each and every start. And I think surprisingly is that horse. She caught my eye 3 races back at Tampa when she won the Endeavor, beating Scottish Star, who was in this race, and also beating Market Segmentation in that race. Market Segmentation came back to win the Bouguet, and then just won the Grade 1 in New York on Friday. In that race, surprisingly, was not really stuck in traffic, but just had to wait a little bit around the turn and closed incredibly quickly to run those 2 horses down. That was a race that did feature some pace that she closed into. Her next 2 races, the Hillsborough at Tampa and then last time in the Bouguet at Belmont, neither of those races featured any kind of early pace. They were won by horses that were up close, and she is a closer. She needs pace in this race. She should get pace in this race from the 7. Katie's a Lady, who's stepping up in class from an allowance race and starters at Tampa. This horse has run off on occasion, so I don't see that one sticking around at the end, but should be there in the beginning to at least set up some early pace. So I think the race flow is going to get back to what Surprising wants to do. Paco Lopez, who's aboard this day, is the perennial leading rider at Monmouth, knows the turf course better than anyone, and has been aboard surprisingly in 2 of her last 3 starts, so knows the filly as well. I just think the Chad Brown horses are going to take money. They definitely should. Consumer spending is consistent. Gina Romantica on the outside is a grade 1 winner. She hasn't run since October, though, whereas surprisingly has 4 races so far this year. So maybe she has a little bit of a fitness edge. And again, I'm hoping that with 2 Chads, a Todd, a horse from Christophe Clement, who's been running against the boys.
Just ran 100 by higher. Yeah.
Right. So I'm hoping that surprisingly maybe slips through the cracks. And again, just like the horse I picked in the previous race, looking for something in like the 5 or 6 to 1 range. Less than that, maybe not. But I think surprisingly getting back to a race with some pace in it is definitely live here.
Yeah, I think just in this race alone, there are 8 horses. 5 of them are 4 to 1 or lower.
Right.
I mean, it's that competitive. I'm with Brian totally. I think it's very, very competitive. Would not be shocked if surprisingly won here. I did land on it. So let's be really clear about this. The winner of this race gets a starting spot in the matchmaker. Chad Brown has won that race 5 of the last 6 years.
Yep, I think we've talked about that before.
So let's be realistic about what this is. Gina Romantic is here. Consumer spending is here. I think both of them are obviously serious threats. I do have surprisingly in the 3 spot for me, 3rd most likely to win here because of Paco Lopez. Agree with Brian's take on that he is absolutely the dean of the jockey colony on the Jersey Shore. I think Spirit and Glory is an interesting entry here, Brian, the 5 for Nick Juarez for the Falcone barn. It's an interesting one last time out in a listed stakes over this course in a quick time as well. So when you can run that 141 over the mile and a 16th, to me, that's a winning time, frankly. And so if that horse, frankly, can be closer pressing on the pace like it was last time, might have a shot here too with Nick in the irons. There has to carry a little bit more weight than last time, but I think the 4 pounds will be just fine.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have something to add, Brian?
I was just going to say she ran really well last time, too. A reason I don't like Scottish Star is they both came out of the same race, the Miss Liberty. Scottish Star was absolutely lone speed, had plenty of back class. There was no one to run with her early, and Spirit and Glory actually ran her down with no one was up there pressing Scottish Star. So Spirit and Glory, I would give a look to, she has to step up again in class to run against some of the beasts from Shug and Chad and Christoph's barn. But I don't like Scottish Star, so if you want to just put a circle around her now and we'll just write her in as the winner.
That's pretty much how it goes on this show.
That's how the show works.
If we besmirch a horse hardcore.
Yeah, the one horse that I mentioned is not liking. I mean, just key all your bets around Scottish Star. But Spirit and Glory, I would give a look at a decent price. She did run well last time.
Brian, go ahead and say it. Luis Saez is a bum. Just say it. Luis Saez is a bum.
I'm a big fan. I'm not going to say that.
All right. Next race is race 12. It is the Salvatore Mile, grade 3. Race is a mile, boy. That's why they call it the Salvatore Mile.
Real?
Yeah, that's it. It's on the dirt. $150,000 for 3-year-olds and up.
Just the logic at Monmouth.
Yeah, we get a little horses with bourbon in the
Haskell preview. Mile is a mile. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Horse racing's like, what are they doing in New Jersey?
Yeah.
Well, why make it harder than it has to be?
I don't know, but we like to do it.
All right. Who are we liking this one, Louis?
Cool name for a race, by the way. Big fan. Salvatore Mile here obviously feeds and leads into the Monmouth Cup. Last 4 winners, highly motivated. Dr. Post Global Campaign War Story.
It's not bad.
That's a nice set of grade 3 winners right there. That's a good group of horses. I don't see a horse of that class in this field, but it doesn't mean that we won't have one drop in next month. But Javion Toledo is 5 for 5 on Nimitz class, the 8 here. They'll try to get out front and stay out front. I don't know if Javion can rock people to sleep in this group, but I do think he can. Petulance in this race has won Israel. The 1, lightly raced. Results speak for themselves. 5 races, 3 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 for 2 at the distance. Luis Saez, who we just mentioned, who we both really like, stays in the irons here. Trainer Victor Barboza, off to a nice start this year. Petulant is in excellent form. Interesting to see if he likes 2 turns. My guess is he will, based on his breeding. And so Chad Brown also has the 9 Artorias in here. Off the layoff, if that horse fires, he wins this race. But we talked about fitness with some of the Brown horses. I'm less enamored on the dirt than I am on the grass with his horses. So I went 8, 1, and 9 here at the Salvatore Mile.
All right. By the way, just before Brian goes, if you're all right, this Salvatore was a 2-time winner of the United States Horse of the Year right back in 1889 and 1890. That's who this race is named for.
Jenna Antonucci trained him.
That long ago?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, she
looks really good for her age.
Look, these vampires, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Sorry, Jenna.
There it is. I'm thrown off. I just want to talk about Salvatore there for a while. This race has been around for since 1948.
Wow.
So there you go. All right.
There you go.
Go ahead and tell us who you like here.
And it's a mile?
It's a mile.
Got it.
It used to be the mile handicap.
Uh-huh.
No handicap anymore, except for us.
Except for the weight, because everyone's carrying different weights. Keep going,
Yeah,
Brian.
go ahead.
It's always running a mile, I think. I went with Artorias here.
Okay.
I think he's the best horse in the race, and as you said, if fitness is no issue, I think my two concerns, if you want to say concerns, the layoff. He's been gone for 8 months by my math. So is he going to be 100% for this race? Probably not. Is he? How close to 100% is he going to be? And the post, we don't run many mile races. To my knowledge, this is the only race with the word mile in it. We probably run, we won more races at a mile, but this is the only race that actually is titled something mile.
Sure.
But it's a very short run to the first turn. So he's
Right.
post 9 of 10. So, hopefully Florent Giroux can get him, in a decent position. He was under 9-1 in the Traverse last year with Epicenter, Cyberknife, Zandon in the field. So, he took money against the monsters in there. He won the Curlin at Saratoga. So if he can come back, and he's ready to run, I think he's the best horse in the race. Nimitz Class is interesting. You mentioned him. He's one of those horses that, you scroll through the PPs and I follow racing, as I know you guys do, on a day in, day out basis. So I feel like there's not many times where it's like, all right, I've never heard of this horse on in a big race. I'm flipping through the PPs, and with all due respect, like, I haven't heard of this horse, and he's on a roll.
Five straight.
He's won 5 in a row. There's 100 buyers in there. He's romping in these races. I mean, it's not like he's winning starter 5 races. He's winning stakes races on major circuits, and I just haven't been.
He's winning them over 2 turns. He's winning them over 1 turn. He's winning in the slop. Oh yeah, he's doing everything.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with this horse, and he obviously comes from lower lower known connections than Chad Brown and Judmont, but this was a horse that he jumped off the page in terms of like, well, why am I not aware of this horse? But I have absolutely no issue with him, and I'm hoping him and his numbers actually put a somewhat of a relatively decent price on Artorias. If you just go on the numbers, Nimitz Class is running faster, more recently than Artorias is. But I'm going to go with Artorias here. But Nimitz Class, good to you. He's been on a roll.
What's the odds on Nimitz Class?
Nimitz Class is 7-2. Excuse me.
7-2. Okay, there you go. Well,
I think he's second favorite, so it's not like I'm giving out some kind of long shot or something with him. It's just once in a while horses are on a roll, and trainers just decide they're going to go try, a graded, effort here because he's been running mostly in, either state bred or state, like Jerkins type races in Maryland, right? But look, I mean, they shipped him to Parks last time. He wins for fun again. I mean, it's just doesn't seem to matter where he runs. He wins for fun. So it'll be interesting, Brian. The only angle there is he's not running with Lasix. So that's really the only angle. If he wanted to come into its class for something negative, it might be that.
No, it's true. And that some horses, that's just another thing of many in handicapping that makes it difficult. It might make absolutely no difference whatsoever, and he'll keep winning, or he might need Lasix. You won't know until after the race.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go up the chute here on the 13th race with the mile and 8th on the turf. That's the Grade 3 Monmouth here. 150,000, 3-year-olds and up. And the winner here goes into the United Nations Stakes. So
one of my very favorite races in the United States every year.
The United Nations.
I love the United Nations. Yes.
By the way, if you want to have more mile races and like we could have a horse racing happy hour mile, we'll even come up, do the show from Monmouth.
Yeah.
We'll just make it happen,
yeah.
Brian. We're
there. Come on, Brian.
All right.
I gotta remember. We're lucky. We get lots of good guests on this show.
We do.
Are you a Louisvillian, Brian?
No.
Who am I mixing him up with?
He said that like it was like besmirched.
Yeah, no. But like, no, because we just had someone on who was running. Oh no, it's a guy at Naira. Never mind. I'm see.
You're getting old.
I agree that I'm getting old.
So what's wrong with Louisville, Brian?
Nothing. I'm a Louisville fan. I have plenty of friends who live in Louisville. I'm New Jersey for better or worse. I'm Jersey Shore.
All right.
Not like Snooki Jersey Shore, but like I live on the coast of New Jersey.
I'll see you in the hot tub with some like
no
weird vibe.
He's gonna get up, show us his abs later.
No, you will not.
All right, let's go ahead and break this one down, and we'll start with Brian. Brian, who you like in the Monmouth?
So this is the Shook horse I was referencing earlier. I'm on the 2, Never Explain here. If you look through his PP, this is going to be his 16th lifetime start. In 2021 and 2022, with all due respect, this is just a horse. Was sprinkling in a win here, a win there, was running in allowance races, would run in New York, would ship down to Pimlico, ship to Indiana Grand. And it was just, fine running 80, mid 80, high 80 buyers. Something clicked with this horse over the winter. Has now won 3 in a row, 2 of them at Tampa over the winter, and won what I thought was a very tough Grade 3 dinner party stakes on the Preakness undercard. Hurricane Dream, who ran second in that race, is a good horse. Emmanuel came back to win on the Belmont undercard. Atone was in that race, who won the Pegasus Turf at Gulfstream over the winter. Never Explained beat all of them. He did get a good trip that day, but I think this is just one of those quintessential Shug McGaughey horses that, whatever the switch was that needed to be flipped, it's flipped, and this one's going to go on a roll. I think this horse is going to run very well in this race, and then you'll see him in even bigger and better races over the course of the summer. Tribhuvan is a past UN winner that has run well on the Monmouth turf before. Kind of a tough spot, a tricky handicapping puzzle for this one. I think his best race is longer. I think deep down this is a prep for the UN. He hasn't run since Traverse Day last year. So 1 1/8 miles. On one hand, I think 1 1/8 miles might be a little short than his best. It's a prep for the UN, but he has won a race like this in similar situations before. It's in his PP line. May 1st of 2021, was coming off of a long layoff, was in a 1 1/8 miles race at Belmont. It was a prep for longer. Right after that race, he ran in the 1 1/4 miles Manhattan, then ran in the UN, then ran in the Sword Dancer at 1.5 miles, but he won the Fort Marcy at 1 1/8 miles. So can he win this race at 1 1/8 miles off a layoff? Yes, he's shown that he's done it before. Do I think it's short of his best and a prep for the UN? Yes, I do. So this is one of those situations that he's certainly on a couple tickets. I'm not going to lose out on the pick 4 when he wins, but Never Explain is the horse that I like here.
Mr. Rabeau.
I landed on someone very different. I landed on Commandeer of all things, going back to Paco Lopez here, the 5. I just ran really well at Keeneland, first off the bench, off a really long layoff last out.
You're going with the horse who hasn't won since 2021?
I am going with that horse.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Because I love the form at Keeneland, and I'm hoping that as a 5-year-old, this horse is, with Paco, by the way, that's essentially why I'm betting this horse. I think you're not even 5-1's not even a question. I think you're getting 8-1 on this horse.
Yeah, probably should.
Or 9-1, something like that. And so that's really where I'm at. I think Catnip on the outside is a really interesting horse. Has won back-to-back, first at Keeneland, and then did the thing at Monmouth last time out. Under Sammy Camacho, Joel Rosario gets them out here for Michael Stidham, so that'll be an interesting one as well. That horse has run 2 very good races this year and gets better at the end of the race. So I'm hoping the 1 1/8 is not a big deal as the horse goes another half a furlong here. But Tribhuvan, look, is the absolute class here. If he comes back with his form, he should absolutely win here. But I think Brian might be right. This might be one where you're setting a horse up just to be better next month. And so in that case, he might be a play against. Never Explains a fine horse. I mean, we haven't even mentioned like Speaking Scout. A good horse. I mean, like this is
Grade 1 winner.
Yeah, I mean, this is a real legitimate Grade 3 field, and just a lot of different places to go. But I mean, look, class Tribhuvan wins. I agree with Never Explained. The recent form, especially, is very good. Continues to climb the ranks. We were there for that dinner party. That was a good field. And so I think that with those variables, can a horse like Never Explained win 4 in a freaking row? It's a lot of races to win in a row for a horse of that quality.
Hey, if Nimitz Class can do it, why can't Never Explain?
You watch your mouth about Nimitz Class. You understand me? and then Tribhuvan, like if we're coming off the layoff here, can Commandeer put together a performance and kind of jump out and win at 7-8-1? I don't know. But
go for it. 2021.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hurry.
I'm besmirching it, so it'll definitely win. Brian, talk to us a little bit more about what you guys kind of got going up in Monmouth. Why should someone come to Monmouth? By the way, Louie and I were talking about the trips we want to make, and we were very serious. Like, we do want to get up to Monmouth. I think it's one of the next tracks that
it's stunning that we haven't been there.
Right.
It looks incredible on every picture and TV and everything.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those places. It's one of those places that when someone comes for the first time, like you can do soon, hopefully, they always say like, "Wow, I didn't realize it was this nice." We like to brand ourselves as very family friendly. We're obviously a gambling institution first and foremost. That's what pays the bills. We want you to come and bet on the horses. But realizing that not everyone is going to come and bet $1,000, a day, we give you something for everyone where, okay, if you only want to come and bet $20 during a day and want something else to do in between races, that's fantastic. We want to accommodate that and get 1,000 of those people out. So we have a huge picnic area similar to what Saratoga has. You can bring your own food and drink. Every Sunday, there's family fun day stuff out there, bounce house, pony rides, clowns. We do a ton of festivals over the course of the year. So food trucks, car shows, seafood festivals, wine tastings. That's kind of our way of introducing new fans to the races. I'm a little bit biased, and selfishly, I think we do one of the better jobs of really any track in the country in terms of introducing new people to racing. And yes, we do that through non-racing events, but all of those events have the overwhelming goal of introducing people to racing. So, okay, this next weekend, for example, we have a wine and pizza festival. So yes, that's a lot of what our advertising is. We want people to come out for the wine tasting and for pizza. But while you're here, we have
a judge for the pizza tasting. I'm available.
If you're in the area, stop on by.
All right.
But we do all of those things again with the end goal of getting you over to the track and watch the races and hopefully, make a bet or two. And you're obviously not going to come for the wine festival and say, hey, I'm going to bet $500 on this race. We totally understand that. But if you bet $5 on that race and then come have a good time and come back a month from now and grow into it, that's what we want. So we have big crowds, like I said, through festivals, and we do a ton of group sales and a lot of birthday parties and that kind of stuff. So, I would say put us up against some of the other tracks in the country, and we typically have a higher attendance than most. We're a huge facility. Yeah. We prioritize, we want to do things the right way. So, cleanliness and flowers and everything is painted. It's just a very beautiful facility, and it's kind of low key, and we don't take ourselves super seriously, and we all want to have a good time. And most of the staff, me included, has been there for many, many years. I'm 38 years old, but I've worked there for 17 years. Awesome, and there's people that have been there for 20, 30, 40 years. So we have a pride in the place like it's our family business.
Love it.
By the way, solid BYO policy.
Oh, yeah?
And you have fixed odds. It is something we've talked about a lot on this show. Can you talk about the fixed odds? How is that going at your place? Do people like it? Is it a way for new bettors to kind of feel more comfortable gambling? What have you found with fixed odds?
It is. So the overwhelming goal with fixed odds is we thought that is the best way to kind of reach out to the sports betting crowd, which we have as well, and transition them over to racing. Sports and racing are two different languages. Racing is 2-1 and sports is plus 200. Right. And obviously sports is when you bet, those are the odds that you get, and it doesn't change, and horse racing is pari-mutuel. So fixed odds, in addition to, being how pretty much every other country in the world bets, and that's what we wanted, we also want to use that to get the sports betting customers over. It's been slow to start, to be honest, relatively speaking, just because there's not that much liquidity in the pools, and the inventory just isn't there yet. So it's a logistical and governmental nightmare, basically, to start anything new like this, because every track owns their own content. So we just can't say, hey, we're going to take Gulfstream's races and bet fixed odds on it. Like, that's their content. They need to approve that. So reaching out to different tracks and getting their approval for a new type of wagering, and there's still some fear that fixed odds in sports is going to cannibalize pari-mutuel wagering, and it's just a slow process. So last year in 2022, the only fixed odds you can bet was if you were physically at Monmouth Park, you could only bet Monmouth Park races. That was it. So obviously the pools are relatively small. This year's it's expanded. There's probably 6 to 8 different tracks that you can bet, and now we have an app. So if you're anywhere in New Jersey, you can bet fixed odds online. Nice. And it's Monmouth. I think the Penn tracks are coming on board soon. Canterbury, Delaware. There's 6 or 8 different tracks that you can bet. So slowly but surely, the opportunities to bet are growing. The tracks are growing, and hopefully 5 years from now we'll have every track on there, and you can do. The ultimate pipe dream 10 years down the road is to have fixed odds, pari-mutuel, and sports all on the same app.
Yeah, so same wallet. Yeah,
and you can do crazy you can parlay the Kentucky Derby winner with the Mets-Yankees game that night with whoever's going to win the MMA match that night. And that's the ultimate goal 10 years down the road. And that, in my opinion, is how horse racing is going to grow, to be able to sync those two together and get everybody who's on their sports app having horse racing right there. Because that's what everyone just wants to act. Remember, like during COVID, like it was something like European ping pong was handling like $20 million or something, because that was the only thing that was going on. People just want to bet on stuff. So at halftime of a basketball game, if there's 10 races that are running, people are going to bet that. You just have to get it in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about sports betting coming to Kentucky. I guess that's like starting here in just a couple of weeks, and I mean, we never thought it was going to happen, and now it's here. And just the idea of being at Churchill Downs on a college football Saturday, betting college football and betting the races at the same time just sounds freaking amazing to me. It's going to be fantastic. So,
all right, I wanted to ask, let me do it on my phone. Never mind. I was going to ask him if the cities in New Jersey that listen to us the most are near Monmouth.
Oh,
and the answer is yes, by the way.
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
like 80%
good.
of our New Jersey listeners live near Monmouth. So
we
have a couple.
there.
Man, I should have done math before Brian came on. We have like 300 people that live near Monmouth that listen every week.
Beautiful. Hopefully I don't scare them away.
We got a nice New Jersey contingent. We appreciate those people. So
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. So yeah, we'll get up there at some point. Brian, you were awesome. You're always welcome back. And we'll wait for that.
I'm sure we'll bother you for Haskell. Yeah,
for us to judge pizza contest and get the.
And I apologize for suggesting you were from Louisville. That's my fault.
Not at all. And I have if we did Haskell preview day together, we should definitely do Haskell proper together. So
good.
Yeah, let's do it.
Reach out and I'll be there.
All right, Brian, appreciate it.
Love it. All right, talk to you soon.
Yeah, good to meet you, man.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right. Well, Louis, this was great. We almost right at an hour. Great show. A lot of people stopping by the table to talk about horse racing today. And we did all right without Zach.
I like Monmouth too.
Yeah.
Like as a better. Like I like Monmouth.
Okay.
I think it's very fair.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
whatever that's worth.
Whatever that's worth.
Whatever Louis' opinion about Monmouth is worth.
All right. Well, we're gonna pay the tab. We're gonna get out of here. We'll see you next time on the Horse Racing Happy Hour.
Not getting sued for music. What's up?
Yeah.